How big a game is this for you guys in the scheme of things? I know it's the next one, but
yeah, no, I know. And you hate to be really too cliched, but they're all big when you only get 12 of them. You know what I mean? And so they're all big, but this is big just because it's the first conference game, and anytime you start conference play, you want to get off to a good start. And from that standpoint, it's big. It's against a good football team, and so that'll get your attention.
Are you eager to see what you guys are about in a game like this? Because when you beat a Big Ten team on the road, but now you're going into conference play and against a team that looks pretty good. And you expect to find out a lot more about yourselves?
Yeah, they're a different team. The Northwestern, a lot more explosive offensively, and just a different team. And Tucson's will be a lot different atmosphere, than it was against Northwestern. So, we'll see how our guys respond. I'm anxious and excited to see how they're going to play and how they're going to handle the ups and downs that happen during the football game. And, I think we have some confidence and in a pretty good spot right now.
It's going to be, you guys agreed to let them wear white, is that what I understand?
Yeah, I think so. I think that happened over the summer or something, so yeah.
So what will you wear?
I don't even know. I think we're wearing, I don't even know, Kyle. Do you know?
Yeah, I think it's, well, I heard everyone wants to go out gold. Is what
I don't know. I'll let everybody else pick it. I'm not a uniform guy.
Right.
So I don't even really know.
What have you found out about your team through the first two games that you had to play games to know?
Well, just how we were going to handle things, getting having a lead, losing a lead, having to make a stop at the end of a game to win a game, and then just could we stay healthy? I mean, all the stuff that were questions that we, really didn't get answered or didn't answer very well last year. And so just those things, I think every team's different and every team has its own unique makeup and strengths and weaknesses, and so you don't really know what yours are until you start playing games, and then you get a little bit better idea. This is kind of what we were good at, and this is how we handle this, and it's every team's a little bit different.
It's a small sample size so far, but you're
it
encouraged
is.
by what you're seeing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so far so good. And I think all that comes back to stuff I've been talking about over and over and over again. Just comes back to back in late January and February and March, and just the guys working out and the dedication and the toughness and commitment and all those things. And so, when you really do that stuff and you buy in at a high level, you get better. And I think the guys see themselves getting better, changing, physically, see that they're improving. And when they do that, their confidence goes up.
And I know you take them 1 week at a time, but what would a win like over these guys mean to maybe sort of the bigger picture of what your season can become?
Oh, I don't know. It's so early in the season. I don't know that it really makes that big of a difference. I mean, it does, obviously. I mean, you want to win all the games you can win. But winning games early is always good because it gets you on a little bit of a roll. But, we're going to get, after this one, we're going to get to play 8 more. And so there's, they're all different. They're all in
9 more.
Yeah, 9 more? Yeah, 9 more. Yeah, exactly. My math's not real good. 9 more. And so, we'll as you said, the sample size is small, and we'll kind of look on that type of stuff at the end of the season.
How healthy are you guys going in? Not
good.
You had some bumps and bruises during the week, though.
Yeah, but we're good. I mean, we're as healthy as we've been and feel good about where we are.
Is there anybody who won't play?
I don't think so. I mean, the same guys that hadn't, Joe Willis won't.
Right, but Sebastian will.
Yeah.
Darius White will.
Yes, I think so, yes.
Okay. Austin's okay?
Yes.
Talk about the running game. You've gotten some good results in the first 2 games, but where does it need to go from here? And how much more of a challenge is facing this defense, which pretty much stacks to try to stop the run up the middle? It looks like, right?
Yeah. They're going to, Arizona's one of those teams just doesn't want to let you run the football, and their defense is kind of built on that. And so, we're going to need our run game needs to be more consistent. I mean, that's the thing that we've taken away from the first couple of ball games. At times we've run it well, other times we haven't run it great. We've got to be more consistent. Still have too many plays where we're, gaining 0 yards or 1 yard. We got to do a better job getting 3 and 4 yards every time we hand it off, and just being consistent. So, and generating some big plays. We hadn't generated a lot of big plays in the run game. We had Lasco had the long touchdown last week, but we've got to generate some more big plays in our run game.
Do you think that they're starting to develop confidence in the run game and the line is?
I think so, more so. It's still a work in progress, but I think the guys are feeling better and and I think more confident.
When you have so many good receivers and such a a passing game that can really do some things. That's got to benefit your run game. At some point, they can't
Yeah, it does.
stack the box totally against your ground game.
Yeah, and the thing is, you want to run it well enough where they, where they've got to try to stop the run, and then you can throw it, and then hopefully they'll drop, and then you can run it. So it's kind of a cat and mouse game, and I've always found the better you can run the ball, the better you can throw it, and the better you can throw it, the better you can run it. So I think those two things go together.
Does having a variety of running backs with a variety of kind of styles play to your advantage?
Yeah, we've always kind of liked having different guys, and we've got different kinds of guys. They're all a little bit different. Their style's a little bit different. And I think that's a positive for us. We're still figuring out how to use them all, and figuring out a role for everybody and how we're going to use them, and that's something that usually takes about the first quarter to third of the season to get all that kind of squared away. But I think that's starting to happen.
I was going to ask about the freshman backs. There's a lot of, I guess, talk about them maybe before the season, but it's mostly been the older guys.
Yeah, they've gotten some good time in, and the thing about it is, they're going to play a lot before the season's over. That's why we came in and just decided from get-go we're going to play them both and see how it goes. And those backs have a tendency to get banged up, and luckily we've stayed healthy. But they both have gotten much better. I think they've gotten their legs back, and I thought they both had a good week of practice this week.
Yeah, all the work that you guys put in leading up to the season paid off at the beginning. You almost have to make sure that continues increasing now that you're actually in the thick of things.
Yeah. That's the thing. These guys, I think your work ethic becomes a habit. And I think the guys have a good work ethic right now. They come out and they practice good. We don't have to drag them kicking and screaming to practice every day. They come out here, they get their work done. We're starting to show some signs of maturity and where they understand how important it is for us to practice well. And you're starting to see some leadership. If guys come out here and they don't have the focus that you want to see, their teammates will say, hey, look, we've got to get more focused in. We've got to pay more attention to details and things like that. So, like I said, I think this team knows how to work, and I think that's resulted in them being better. And, we just got to see how it continues to play out and how they handle it.
What was the response to a couple of those iffy practices maybe in the middle of the bye week last week?
At the time, I wanted to make sure that, we kind of stayed on them a little bit. For bye week practices, they were good practices. That's the thing. You're always going to have a little bit of a different frame of mind during those bye weeks. And again, if you've got a kind of an exceptional team, maybe you won't have as big a one. And I don't know that we're quite there yet, but the guys, I thought, practiced overall pretty well.
Do you like to think when Arizona's in its defensive meetings that they're not quite sure what you guys might do with Luke?
Yeah, I think so, and I think kind of in our offense a little bit. I think that's the one thing that doing something that's a little bit different gives you is I think that they have to say, well, I wonder what are they going to do with this guy this week that's a little different and that type of thing, and so and that's good. I think that anytime that the coaches have questions, players have questions, I think it works to your advantage. But, these guys have seen everything. They've been around, they've seen it all, and, they know how to make adjustments.
And at some point, he has to prove, not to you, but to the other team, that he can throw the ball.
Yeah, and I think he has to a degree. I think he's, he's completing a high enough percentage of his throws and that kind of stuff and looked good doing it. But like you said, when he comes in the game, people are going to assume he's going to run the football.
And most of the runs he's made have been sort of up the middle. Is that more difficult given what they try to do defensively?
It just depends. A lot of it depends on kind of the action that we're having as far as the blocking action and what we're seeing and that type of thing. But there'll be some perimeter runs that'll happen, at some point during the season, and all that's, kind of just waiting to play out.
You heard from any old friends out in Tucson?
Yeah, I actually have. Talked to a bunch of people this week, and it'd be nice to see those guys after the ball game.
Yeah.